What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap here on the Jersey First TV network. As always, I'm AJ Malillo,
And I'm Steven Robolo.
and you are listening to Bridging the Gap on Jersey First TV. You can always subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that little notification bell, get all of your Jersey First content where you can listen to Bridging the Gap with Steven and I, Real Talk with Fernando, and the Nader Narrative with Elizabeth Nader. And you can always check us out on jerseyfirst.org where you can sign up for our newsletter and sign the pledge. And you can check us out on demand anytime on onnj.com. But another episode coming your way. And Steven, what has been going on with you?
We're recording. So this isn't our typical recording day. So
True.
I'll say that officially a week out from my birthday. Very exciting. A quick 7 days and I'll be 25 years old, having a quarter life existential crisis about it. Please don't ask me any questions. Anyhow, I'm really settling into gearing up for this move. I've been trying to have communications with some classmates, looking into what books are going to cost me, waiting to hear back from the federal government still about how much money they're going to, take me for and that I'm going to have to pay back. So that's been really fun and exciting. I'm getting ready to go on a little trip ski to Chicago, visit a good friend out there, have some fun. I'm going to get into all kinds of hijinks in
You gonna
the
see the bean?
I do want to see the bean. I made it a very, very, very important point to make that when I am in Chicago, I have to see the bean.
You also
I
have
need
to
to,
go, even if you don't see a game, you have to go to Wrigleyville, where
Wrigleyville.
which is like the surrounding area around where Wrigley Field is, where the Cubs play. So, like,
Oh,
I suggest you should go see a game. Wrigley is one of like the most iconic stadiums in America, but at least
I'm
go to
missing.
Wrigleyville. It's a cool spot. Where when I go to Chicago in like a weekend, 2 weekends from now, I'll be going to a Cubs game, but certainly also checking out Wrigleyville. So
I'm missing a an exhibition soccer game from the famous club Chelsea. They're apparently like in the
sure.
United States doing an exhibition game, and it starts tomorrow when I arrive in Chicago. The game starts at 7:30. I arrive at 7:41. So I
You
still
just go
might
late.
buy a ticket and go late because when else am I going to see Chelsea play in Chicago? But I'm gearing up for that. Very excited. Um gonna you ready? I'll drop a surprise now. I'm going to have two books to
Oh,
talk about next week. So I finished the book that I'd mentioned a few weeks ago on equality, and I've been listening to an audiobook on Spotify.
there
So
you go.
I'll keep it hush hush as to what it is, but I'll say this much: it is the first nonfiction book. No, first nonfiction book. First fiction book is probably the best way to say it. I was trying to be elusive and dodgy about it, but I've read a fiction. I've listened to a fiction book. It is very, very awesome. Very awesome. I like it a lot.
Very good. I'm excited to hear more about it. I have no idea. This is a surprise to me. So that's exciting. I will also be ready for next week. For the first time that we're doing this, it's me holding up the book episode. I've been super busy and I'm a little bit more than halfway through. And so I will be finished with my book for July for next episode 100%. So next episode is a book episode, and I know that's Steven. I don't know. That's my favorite episode of the month. So
I love the book episodes.
I agree. I agree. And I've decided I'm going to go nonfiction for next month.
Ooh,
Yeah, I just haven't
okay.
decided. I'm between two books, but I think I know which one I'm leaning. So we could talk about that next week though.
Yeah, absolutely. But you said you've been busy. What have
Sure.
you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of work. I've been working over at the district attorney's office. There was a mock trial, big mock trial, this last week, and then today actually that we're recording this was the finals for it. I did not compete as an attorney because it was only for the rising 3Ls, so the people that are just finished their second year of law school, going into their third. Since I'm going into my second, I played a witness. I played a pizza guy. It's a good time.
Ooh,
I think I did pretty well. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But uh, I had to be, and I was sick all of last week too. So like I just wasn't feeling great. It was kind of like going home and just going straight to bed type of
Mm.
deal. So, it was a bit of a long week, but we made it through. And I don't know about you, Steven. I just feel like July was the longest month of all time. Like I felt like it was a never ending month for some reason.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
July was never that way. This is like the first time ever that July has felt like it never ended.
Well, might it be because this is the first time for the month of July that you've been like in a proper like adult work environment for the
Probably.
entire month of July? That's got to be it, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't like on the shore for a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, most Julys I was on the shore, I was working on the boardwalk and July flew by, it was just
Hmm.
like another summer month. But
Yeah.
this year, man, it never ever ended, I swear.
I mean, it just
It
did
did. It did
yesterday.
end. It did end. But it felt like it never ended.
Yes. I want to ask a quick question because
Sure.
this is not the first I've mentioned or we've heard of this. But as I'm getting ready to go to law school, do I need to watch like more like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon movies to like get a grasp on what great acting looks like? Because it seems like if you want to be in mock trial, you've got to have some sort of performance in you.
Yeah, and I think you have a performer in you. But we were actually talking about this today with the other interns. There was a group of us. We were kind of hanging out before we went into the trials, and there was a big group of us that did like theater in high school, and actually one of them was a music theater major, I think, in college, and like undergrad. And I think that what we've come to, it's like this is the next logical step for a lot of theater kids is to do trial work because you
Mhm.
have to be theatrical in some sense of it, being a lawyer and sort of weaving a narrative between the facts and creating a story. I mean, you're not creating a story because you're not making anything up, but you're using the facts that are in front of you to create a compelling narrative. I guess is the best way to do it,
Yeah.
to say it. And you need to be able to personify that narrative and effectively um, articulate that narrative and those facts in the manner that you want to present to
Mm.
the jury. So we were talking about that, and it just plays naturally into being somebody that has sort of that theater background, that acting background to play to a crowd and like know what they want to hear and how they want things to be framed. And you don't have to have that to be a good trial attorney, but I think it certainly helps.
So watch more Brad Pitt movies.
I
Got it.
would say I would say that you should do that either way.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm a big Brad Pitt guy. For some
That's
reason when
fair.
I think of like exceptional actor, Brad Pitt's just the guy that comes to
Not
mind.
Leo DiCaprio, not Daniel
Nah,
Day-Lewis,
nah, I you know what? It used to be Kevin Spacey, but
but you can't.
for,
Well, he was
yeah,
just acquitted, right? But still,
yeah. So I'm not allowed to say that, but the real answer is Kevin Spacey.
he's a great actor. I don't think anybody's taken that away. But
I'd put him in the realm of generational talent, truly.
sure, sure, but not a guy you want to look up to. I understand.
No, no.
I
Off the
understand.
screen, not too admirable.
Sure, sure. You don't think like Tom Hanks though? He's a great actor.
Yeah, but even still, his off the screen antics are a little. I don't know. I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan of his.
that's fair. Like, but like actor wise, great guy, great actor,
Yeah,
great, great.
he's a little like he's a little soft for me.
Really,
Tom Hanks is a little soft. Yeah, I feel like
I feel like
I don't
Brad Pitt is definitionally soft. Like he's just the pretty boy.
know, but he does it well.
What
He's a
about
gritty,
Matthew
pretty boy.
McConaughey?
We know I love Matt
Right,
McConaughey. We know I love Matt McConaughey.
terrific actor.
Even you know what? I know. I don't know if you've seen it. Oppenheimer. You haven't seen it yet, right?
No, I have not seen it. I do plan on seeing
Uh,
it soon.
Robert Downey Jr.
Oh my
Exceptional,
God, Robert Downey
exceptional
Jr. is
performer.
such a good actor.
Exceptional
He
performer.
had his off the screen troubles, but he's come back from that. And you got to respect a come up story.
I'm noticing a thread here. It seems like all great actors that we've named are just troubled off the screen. So
I
there's got to
think that
be
I think there's something there. I
yeah,
do. I think there's something there.
not for us to pick at though.
Oh no, not on this show.
No,
Not on this show. But we do have
good
some stories that
catch.
we have to talk to, and I think the biggest story going on right now in New Jersey, and it's not something that warrants a long discussion on, but it's definitely it should go mentioning that our Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver has passed away. She was in the hospital for like one day, one night, and passed away. She's apparently been suffering from an illness for a very long time. No stories really go into it, but she was the first Black woman to hold a statewide office in the state of New Jersey as our lieutenant governor. She was a longtime assemblywoman. She was the Speaker of the New Jersey Assembly, a longtime public servant. Obviously, you know, your heart goes out, your prayers, your thoughts and prayers go out to her family, the people that know her, and obviously the state of New Jersey is in mourning. And I think it goes without saying, regardless of political party or ideological difference, when you lose somebody who has done so much for the state, has given her life to public service, that has given and has opened doors to a lot of people, and people of women of color in particular. I think it goes without saying she was a trailblazer. She was somebody that um, Republican or Democrat, you know, she was a big part of our state and politics for a long time. And uh, you should go out and you should give her thanks in whatever way that you may feel necessary.
I agree. I think worth mentioning too, I was reading the article that they wrote on NJ.com about, the life and legacy of Lieutenant Governor Oliver. And this was something that I thought I just found interesting. She was the second woman and the second Black lawmaker to hold the job of she was the head of the state legislative chamber. So I thought that was a real trailblazing moment for her. And then this was just an interesting thing. She ran for the mayor of East Orange in the late 90s, and she had lost that election by 51 votes, which when you're talking like elections, 51 votes is so like just a slim margin. But proof in the pudding that, she was appointed to a state position, I want to say it was like less than 6 years following that defeat. So a testament to her tenacity, her determination, and a woman who would ultimately, overcome the circumstances stacked against her to rise to the second highest executive office for the state of New Jersey. So I just want to echo the same sentiments that AJ had expressed, that the state is in mourning of a true trailblazer, a woman that not only everybody in New Jersey should be proud of, but a woman that anybody could be proud of.
Yeah, and I think it goes just mentioning, like, if you look, northjersey.com also has a story and it's a story that they asked people that served with her in the past, um sort of about her, and some things that they'll remember about her. And Democrats and Republicans alike, speak glowingly about this woman. Um Talking John DeMeo, who is an assembly minority leader from Warren County, said that she was a force but not forceful. Many people said, she made us proud. She paved the way. She is somebody who was a pathbreaker, a trailblazer, a leader, an unrelenting fighter. All of these things, like, not a bad thing to say about the woman. So, uh, you have to give her respect.
I do recall, actually, AJ, I believe you and I had the opportunity to meet the lieutenant governor. We were both at Montclair State University, and they had officially did the grand opening for I believe it was the science building.
The environmental science building.
The environmental science building.
I believe, was that the lieutenant governor or the secretary of state?
I thought it was the lieutenant governor.
It may have been. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I am 99% sure that it was because who is our Secretary of State in the state of New Jersey? This is something that we should definitely know.
This is, and I will give you an answer.
Tahesha Wei.
Tahesha Wei, and I believe that's who is at Montclair State.
I feel like they were both there.
It's entirely possible.
I am gonna go out on an extreme limb and say that they were both in attendance at this event, and I believe that we stayed to speak and meet both of these incredible women.
Yeah, you could be very much correct. It was many years ago at this point.
Yeah, I feel like that's how that went.
But still, nonetheless, whether Steve and I met her in person or not, she is a trailblazer, terrific woman in New Jersey politics, and her presence will be missed. And it was a shocking incident, but thoughts and prayers to her family and colleagues over in Trenton. But all that being said, we have one big story that we do want to cover. That's old Bobby Menendez is back at it again. The senator, one of the senators from the great state of New Jersey. Stephen, seems like the man's under controversy every other year, and this time he's joined by his wife, Menendez. And investigators are appearing to be focusing on the possibility that Mrs. Menendez and the senator have received undisclosed gifts. There is a story out of the New York Times written by Tracy Tully talking about how there was undisclosed gifts from a company run by a friend of Miss Menendez, and that those gifts might have been in exchange for political favors, according to two people with knowledge of the matter and subpoenas issued in the case. The story is it's fairly long, and it goes into all of the struggles that Mrs. Menendez has had in the past uh, with finances after her 2005 divorce, up until she wound up meeting the senator. But basically, the story goes that Miss Menendez um, had a connection with a 40-year-old New Jersey businessman named Whale Hanna, who was known to Miss Menendez since before she started dating the senator. Mr. Hanna and Mrs. Menendez were part of a group of friends who had socialized together in North Jersey, and Mr. Hanna began operating a startup company called ISEG Halal in New Jersey, and it soon became the sole entity authorized to certify that any halal food product imported into Egypt from anywhere where in the world had been prepared according to Islamic law. So they basically got a monopoly on this industry despite having no prior experience in the halal industry. Um, in November of 2019, the FBI searched Mr. Hanna's home and offices, and investigators seized things like computers, cell phones, passports, and every single piece of paper in the company's headquarters. Um, and what they found was whether what the federal prosecutors and the FBI are now investigating was whether the senator or Miss Menendez received a luxury car or an apartment in Washington from Mr. Hanna's company. It is unclear, however, if any of Mr. Menendez's official access senators is under scrutiny by prosecutors. But it seems like there was some questionable relationships here uh, that led to this man with no background in the halal industry gaining this monopoly in a market authorizing the food coming in to Egypt. And there's a lot of questions between the senator and Miss Menendez here. And to me, the fact of the matter is this: Bob Menendez has been under ethics investigations pretty much since his time taking office as the senator of New Jersey. In um, so he became the senator in 2006, right? And his first ethics investigation was right at the end of his first term, in which he was implicated in a prostitution scandal. And then in 2006, two Republican state lawmakers filed ethics complaints against Menendez for allegedly breaking conflict of interest rules. In 2013, reports suffered that a federal grand jury in Miami was investigating Menendez in his role in businesses in Florida. And then in 2017, he was he was voluntarily stepped down as the ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee because he was on trial again, which was eventually declared a mistrial. And now here is yet that was a federal bribery trial. And now here is yet another ethics investigation into the senator. And I think that This paragraph, which is in the last section from the New York Times article, says all you need to know. Proving that elected leaders accepted gifts or favors in exchange for an official act has only gotten harder in the 5 years since Mr. Menendez's 2017 federal bribery trial, after a series of Supreme Court rulings narrowed the definition of what kind of conduct can serve for the basis of corruption prosecution. So they're trying to cast a broad net into this investigation, but it's only gotten harder. He's evaded it time after time after time. But he's been in office from 2000 since in the Senate since 2006, Stephen, and he's been under investigation. What, 5 times now?
Hmm.
That's just a lot of times where there's this much smoke. Eventually, fire has to come out. It's like the Teflon Don in the Senate. Nothing sticks.
So I have so many thoughts and opinions about not only this, but Bob Menendez, as a whatever conglomerate, like him and the things that he touches and he surrounds himself with. I'm glad you mentioned it. I was going to say important to this case for me is the fact that he at one time was and still sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So when we're dealing with a company that has the sole authorization dealing with foreign relations, we're talking with certifying all of the food that goes into the nation of Egypt, where this man, again, who's at the head of this company, has no proclaimed affiliation to or correspondence or experience with, raises a lot of bells and whistles to me. On top of that, I am sick and tired as a resident of voting, tax-paying resident of the state of New Jersey, of hearing that my senior senator is in the news for corruption, some kind of investigation, whether it be bribery or gifts or whatever it is. It's exhausting. It's an embarrassment. I've met the man personally, and I'm 99% sure, AJ, you're the one that's actually in law school right now. Can you defame a public figure?
You cannot defame a public figure.
Awesome. I think he's a sleazeball. I shook the guy's hand. I looked him in the eyes, and I saw like blackness, and he had this smug look about him. Exactly what you said, that he was Teflon, and he knew it. He walks around and he parades himself in person and clearly in private and clearly in his government roles as somebody who can do what he wants. And it sickens me because this is the man who is representing this great state, a state full of honest people, true public servants, like we just talked about, the former Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. Bob Menendez is, a part of that, representing our great state. I think it's sickening. I think I agree with you. Where there is smoke, there is fire. How many times does this guy have to be sitting there burning, smoke like the atom bomb flying off of his skin, and nothing happens to him? It's sick. I think it is incredible that we are sitting here. We're recording this on August 1st. We have 4 more federal indictments that just came down the pipe for the former president Donald J. Trump. This guy can't get out of these criminal probes. Bob Menendez can't get into them. And I like, what? We need it all. We need them all. Round them all up, all of the bad eggs, and throw them out. Get them out of here, because I'm tired of it. I hate that I have to log on to the internet or turn on the news, or I'm in Wawa and I see a newspaper and it's some slimy politician who's getting away with some dirty little trick again. There is a growing frustration in this country with exactly this, which is people in positions of power getting away with very obviously illegal, corrupt, or immoral things. It has to end, and we should make an example of Bob Menendez.
Look, listen. I have 2 quick things. One, there's a man that is currently running for governor for president, that should be the Attorney General of the United States, because this is exactly where he made his bones: corrupt politicians. And that is former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie. Put him in the AG's office and just say, He doesn't have to be the attorney general. Make him a special prosecutor of political crimes and just round them all up. Because
He
that's
would
how he
do
made
it.
his bones. He prosecuted Democrats and Republicans alike and just let him have at it. Take them all out. Every one of them. And the other quick point is something from this story that I think bears mentioning, talking about some of the issues with it. So Miss Menendez had a lot of issues with debt and financial requirements, and there's these three paragraphs that I think go to linking the Menendezes to some questionable activity here. Is that the foreclosure of Miss Menendez's so Miss Menendez started a strategic international business consulting company, which was incorporated on the night that her mortgage company began foreclosure proceedings, and it was incorporated and run from her home. It didn't have an online footprint or a phone number, but it appears on Mr. Menendez's required financial disclosures because they are married. But the foreclosure was dismissed 2 months after the foreclosure proceedings started, uh, because part of the debt was repaid and the mortgage was reinstated, according to a representative at a law firm which handled the foreclosing procedures. Then, a year and a half after their marriage, Mr. Menendez amended a 2020 financial disclosure form to include a new asset belonging to his wife, bars of gold bullion worth as much as $250,000. It is unclear how she came into possession of the gold, and in late June, Mr. Menendez filed yet another amended report noting that his wife had sold between $200,000 and $400,000 of the bullion. So this woman magically gets gold, starts selling it off for her mortgage, for her international strategic business consulting firm, run out of her house without a phone number, without a website, after this
Which,
guy, who is an international businessman, got a monopoly for this halal company.
might I add, this business that she was running was incorporated the day after foreclosure proceedings started on the home that she could not pay the mortgage on.
Right.
What? What? I think it is absurd. It is crazy. And again, this article goes into tremendous detail to provide even more context. These two individuals, this whole story begins is its inception is at an IHOP in Union City. That is where these two individuals met. They kicked it off. They had a wonderful discussion about their passion for recognition of the Armenian genocide, which, we find out that the now Mrs. Menendez, had immigrated from Lebanon as a baby. Her parents were, involved in fleeing the genocide, and again, maybe this is like it is a good thing, but Menendez was the senator who had, pushed for the legislation for the United States to actually recognize, at least legislatively, the Armenian genocide. And then President Biden did it, I want to say, within his first year of office. So there's a little quip in the article where people are like, they're speaking to Mrs. Menendez, and she's like, "Yeah, people always ask me, what I'm encouraging Bob to do next." And, and I just feel like that is a great sentiment, a great cause. By all means, go for it. But when you're dealing with the scope of everything we just discussed, probably not the best, like statement that you want coming out about, what you're urging your senator husband to do. Uh, as it's being alleged that he's getting all these business deals closed and opening these opportunities for you to be in the sole possession of these tremendous international foreign economic monopolies. Um, Not a good look. Not a good look at all for the Menendezes.
As per usual, seems like a typical thing. Just another investigation for the the senator that is known as Bob Menendez. And look, I don't even have much to add. I'd say go read that New York Times article, and make a decision for yourself. And also remember, I'm remembering when he won re-election this last time after evading getting that mistrial in the last bribery um case. Do you remember how one of the jurors was like at his campaign rally
Yes.
that after he won that and like
Yes.
was on an interview? So
I
the man is
okay.
tough. I just don't get it. Like it's blatant. It's right in front of your face, and I don't know how this man keeps winning elected office in the state of New Jersey.
Well, so I'll do a little callback earlier in the episode when we were discussing the event that we attended at Montclair State and like who was in attendance or whatnot. I have to say, on a personal note, I cannot remember the first time and all of the times in between preceding this moment that you and I have had to sit down, whether it be, in this format or on the radio when we were at Montclair State University, and have a discussion about how seemingly wholly unfit for office Senator Bob Menendez is, because this man cannot stay away from corruption, from bribery, from these allegations, which I, in a matter of being fair and consistent, have to say, despite all of these things, they are alleged, and all of the things prior to this incident, he's been, cleared, acquitted, or had a mistrial on. So, we can only really claim so much, but come on. Come on. It's like, how many strikes does this guy get? He's been at bat, it seems like, for the whole game, and they keep throwing strikes in. We have a bad ump. That's what it is. There's a
I don't
bad
even know if we have a
umpire.
bad. It's like every call should be a strike, and maybe he checks his swing, and then the umpires deliberate a little bit, and they're like, let's just do a redo.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
give him another
basically what
try.
it is. I my
No,
my
but how many
parting,
chances do you get?
hopefully after this, none, because he is up for re-election next year. And my parting message to the people of New Jersey, of Jersey First, of On NJ, would be, when the ballots when you have a ballot in your hand, as these primaries are going to happen, as these elections are going to happen in 2024, now more than ever, with the most sincerity, do your due diligence, look into these people, find out what they are about, and dig deep. Do not look at the past 6 months of these individuals' careers and their statements. Look at the length and breadth of their careers, who they associate with, what they advocate for. And when you're looking at Bob Menendez, take a look into the plethora of corruption and bribery charges that have been alleged and brought against this man, and think to yourself, is that the guy that I want to send to Washington, D.C. to represent me, to stand for my values, and to advocate for what's best for the people of the state of New Jersey? Because for me, that answer is and has been and will continue to be no. It is not Bob Menendez. It is never Bob Menendez, because the guy is a crook. He's a criminal.
Okay, I couldn't have said it better myself, and I'll say it this way. Bob Menendez is a Democrat. The Democrats have the ability to vote him out in a primary. If you are a Democrat and you think it's insane that a Republican will vote for Donald Trump in a primary, and then you cast your ballot for Bob Menendez, you are a hypocrite and you are a loser. So put your money where your mouth is and vote this guy out. And you know what? Guess what? You'll win something else. The moral high ground, which you covet so much. I know you do. I know you do. I know you covet being able to say, "Look at me, I'm a good person." I know. That's that's why you think that voting for Democrats gives you that authority already. I understand that. Actually do something and vote the person who has had countless corruption allegations against him out of office. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll actually have a little bit of a moral high ground for people. And you'll be able to say, with full sincerity and truth, I don't understand how people can vote for somebody with all of these allegations against them. Because if you do vote for Bob Menendez, which millions of people in New Jersey have done now multiple times over, guess what? You don't have a leg to stand on. You don't have water to tread. You're just incompetent and a hypocrite. So don't be that.
Nah, it's everything you've said is completely and entirely valid. And I think, again, it speaks to your suggestion earlier in the show. We need to have a bit, we need to have more sincere discussions and really hold people accountable for these things, the voters and the politicians alike. If I agree with you, I think it's a bit ridiculous that somebody potentially could sit here and be like, well, I would never vote for Trump. He's got all these indictments, but I went Democrat, right
Down the
down the
line.
ballot. It's like, well, everything you said doesn't really matter anymore. Principles are only a convenience to you. So I agree with you. I think that's just as much a worthy cause to fight and advocate for. And I think in terms of, strengthening our democracy and representation in this country, which is something that I think people desire, I know people desire, is more effective and better and, more moral representation. It starts here. It starts with these tough conversations, and it starts with accountability. And it's crazy to me that I feel like oftentimes people forget that as much as it may not seem like it, the voters have the power. Bob Menendez doesn't have to win if people don't vote for him. So take the frustration, take the anger, because I'm here. I'm upset that this is the guy that's representing me.
But you have the power to change this, like you were saying, Steve. And look, that's going to be another episode of Bridging the Gap here on Jersey First TV network. As always, I'm AJ Malillo.
And I'm Steven Rabolo.
And you could check us out on Jersey First on YouTube. Like I said earlier, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. JerseyFirst.org, sign the pledge, sign up for the newsletter, and on NJ.com on demand at any time. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you next week.